for me, it was external starting, and then actually it was a parallel internal process. Yeah.
Yeah. What I especially relate to is this letting go of titles.
Yeah.
Because as someone who's basically a generalist, I really struggle with figuring out where my place in the world is. Because for a lot of people, it's really straightforward. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm something that almost like uh, people identify with 100%, whereas I didn't have anything that I related to for 100%. It was a lot of things in a small percentage.
Yes.
So basically, for the 26 years of my life, I was trying out new things, thinking that I need to try a lot of them before I land on this is my one big thing that I am supposed to be good about, one thing.
Yeah.
And just like a couple of months ago, I was like, you know what, like forget this.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I I shouldn't try and fit myself and squeeze myself into one box
Yes.
where basically like I feel like I'm a fluid thing traveling to a lot of different boxes and moving from like in one direction to the other. And that realization was something that I felt unlocked me internally so that I
Mm.
can show up externally. And that's kind of the reason why I started writing and now doing this for Unseen Expectations, because I realized that for like 98% of my life, I was going through the grain instead of kind of against the grain of
Mm.
what the society expected of me instead of what I expect of myself.
Mhm.
And yeah, it kind of, for me, it feels like I have been, like I've been traveling on a road that was already kind of made for me in a way.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, but now, like, and all the time when I was doing that, it just felt wrong. It felt weird. It felt different to who I am, and that's why I think I was losing my mind over what are the things that I need to be doing, and why I was jumping almost from one career to another, to another, to another, because what I was feeling on that path wasn't aligning to me.
Mhm.
So now doing it my own way feels good, but also feels very, very scary.
Yes. Yes. It is. It is. It's a very scary, because you're constantly at the edge of growth, like another at your growth edge, what we call in like in
Yeah.
coaching, like, where, because as we know, there are many popular sayings, right? Like almost all the growth happens in the discomfort zone,
Yeah.
right? So, and at the same time, like the issue there is that if you're constantly in your discomfort zone, then you're also at risk of potentially sticking to something for too long as well, thinking actually this discomfort is normal, I got to stick it out, but actually it's
Mhm.
not something that is serving who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that is the other tricky bit, where sometimes we find people a bit stuck as well, like, I'm doing all these different things,
Yeah.
but why am I not getting the satisfaction?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And I think it's very important. Well, for me, my challenge is how to do exactly that, like navigate
Yeah.
the spaces of comfort and discomfort. Because now that I'm doing like all of these things that do feel right to me internally, uh, they like I still get a lot of inner criticism, because before, at least, like I could see where I was heading, sort of,
Yeah.
because it was projected onto me. But now, like it's like in a tunnel basically, because like you have no idea what's happening around you, and that brings a lot of uncertainty.
Mm.
And then the uncertainty feelings bring out the what am I even doing? Am I doing this right? Who am I to think I can do all of these things? Because you have no way of knowing and seeing what you are building towards and what's ahead of you. Do you have like any advice or a tip or something on how to kind of release these uncertainty feelings for you while you're navigating through this? Because I feel like this is something that happens in a multiple streams of life. Like even like when you're a new parent, it's basically the same thing because you have no idea what's lying ahead of you. When you have your own business and you're trying to build something out of the box, something that's not following the traditional path, we have this thing as well. And then in our own personal growth, it happens too. So how can we best navigate this?
Yeah. I mean, for me, is it the question I had for you was when you say about the discomfort of being in a tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
would you say it's also the lack of feedback? Because I heard a bit about it feels because a tunnel means you're on your own and things like that. So is it that are you struggling with the feedback aspect of it that people are not giving you feedback? Is that what it's about, or is it something more than that?
I think that's definitely a major part. That plays a major part because like we are as founders of like companies of one, we are very isolated. So
Yes.
and like when we are whatever we are building for our own communities, and then you don't want to ask for your community all the time for validation. You want to be seen as someone who is sure in what you are offering to them.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of lack of validation, lack of feedback definitely plays a part because I think that for a lot of us as human beings, we do seek external validation in order to um, perceive our ideas and our efforts
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
right. And I know that for me, one of my biggest issues, or rather challenges, is validating myself internally. So like kind of being so sure that what I'm doing is contributing to what I want to be doing without the need to seek external validation.
Mm. So what else? So one is the lack of feedback externally. One is feeling internally, sure of yourself in terms of validation.
Yeah,
Is there anything else that you feel in this tunnel? Like if you stay in the tunnel, I would say,
yeah,
like stay in the tunnel. And so, give me a little more about the tunnel. Like how long is this tunnel? How?
yeah. So basically, I think that's what scares me. It feels like I'm on a like on that uh, it's not an escalator, but then like on the airport that you have the moving parts that
Yeah.
move you. So like I feel that I'm on one of those machines that are just carrying me forward in a tunnel, and I'm trying to look back and forth, look around me, but I can't see because I'm in the dark. And
Mm.
whatever I'm doing, it's like it feels like I have control, but I don't because the pace I'm moving, it's not something that I control. So it feels like it's almost, like that I should be the one who's in charge of how fast that machine is carrying
So
me.
you want to be in charge of how the pace of the escalator or the direction of the escalator.
I
What?
think past like me a month ago would say to you that I do want to be in control. But me today kind of knows that um, life and business and our environments are so uncertain, it doesn't kind of make sense for me to expect that I will have control 100% of the time. What I think is an issue is that there is no like there's no communication between my internal system and the internal system of the machine that's propelling me forward, right? So I have no idea what pace I'm moving, which direction am I heading forwards or backwards? And
Ah.
like I'm lostless because like my kind of I mean it's like it feels like I'm sensory deprived, because
okay, yeah,
there's there's no feedback, so there's no echoes. It's silent, it's dark, and basically, like, I have zero idea. Am I standing still? Am I going forward, but like at a really, really slow pace? Am I moving backward? I have no idea what's happening. And I think
yeah.
that feeling of, just like not getting the data from the machine, you are going in the forward direction, is what triggers this anxiety for me sometimes.
Yeah. So it's the pace, it's the going, you don't know which the direction of flow, and that brings you the anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think that anxiety, what meaning are you giving to that anxiety, I wonder?
Also, again, before, I will say, like, before it would eat me up alive,
Okay. Yeah.
because I was always thinking about all of these feelings of uncertainty and anxiety as negative ones.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I think about them as feedback, basically. So I try to sit with the anxiety and say, okay, so is this anxiety that doesn't feel good, like that something's wrong? Or is this anxiety that something's right and I'm just moving out of my own comfort zone so quickly? So that's the thing that's overwhelming me, because like there's a difference. When something's not right, that means something's not clicking and I should rethink what I'm doing in my business. Whereas when the anxiety is there because of the excitement, basically, and because of like there's a lot of adrenaline and everything happens.
Yes.
But
Yes.
sometimes, like, to me, like, kind of the excitement and the stress feel almost like
The
same
same
emotion,
thing. Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing, and like
Yeah.
it's really hard to figure out, like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Am I scared or am I excited or am I both?
Yeah. 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 But what would be another possibility that you would love to explore on this escalator, along with anxiety and the excitement, right? Are there any other possibilities on this escalator?
Yeah, so like something that I'd love to be able to explore is, how do I feel joy or pleasure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because uh, my journey of healing and understanding myself and understanding my own expectations began because I didn't feel joy or pleasure or satisfaction from what I was doing earlier in my career. And then I said to myself that I will now intentionally design my life and my business so that I feel calm and joy and pleasure and happiness and all of these things.
Yeah.
But because throughout my entire career, I was only used to excitement or fear.
Yes. Yeah.
It's now hard to kind of find and ignite these feelings of joy and pleasure. Like, how do I find this in my business? How do I facilitate this as I navigate my life?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. How do you find it, right? But in terms of the joy, where do you feel the joy when you feel joy
Um,
in your body? I mean.
in the body, well, for me, it's a lot in my gut area, and then it kind of climbs up. So like I feel like my stomach is going to explode. So then it like ramps up and goes
Okay. Okay.
to the
Okay.
heart,
Wow.
to the smile, to the hands. I'm very like flowing with my limbs when I feel
Yeah.
joy and excitement.
Yeah, so I'm wondering how can you make this escalator a floating one, right? So that it gives you the joy. Like that's what comes up for me as a visual.
Mm,
Like like something about and for me the heart of it is the uncertainty bit, right? Like
yeah,
you've got it up in various ways, right? And
yeah.
uh, and uh, and there is this something about control, which is just neurologically we are wired for that. Like our brain wants certainty,
Mm,
right? And so all I would say is that to embrace that, I almost embracing the anxiety and checking in with it, as I saying, what is it trying to tell me, rather than where we can, I shouldn't be feeling anxious about this.
yeah.
This is actually, anxiety is normal, right? And then there is there is a whole perspective of, if I'm going to be on this escalator,
yeah,
definite escalators usually are forward. Like I don't know of any escalators that go backwards, right? Yeah. So it's interesting for me that you said that. So you're definitely moving forward,
yeah,
right? Potentially, you don't know where it's going,
yeah,
but you want to bring joy, and you moved your hands around when you said that, right? When you said,
yeah.
there's a joy and I feel floating, then there is almost like, maybe this is an escalator which is free floating, which is, and the journey will reveal itself, like the destination will reveal itself, right?
Yeah.
And all that you need to do is kind of keep checking in with your body and seeing, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Oh, actually, I'm feeling excitement. I'm feeling joy. So kind of embracing that and seeing what is it signaling. Because a lot of our signals from childhood, especially for women, I would say, is, anxiety and everything is based on perfectionism, or kind of you have to be the good girl, or you have to do this right. And especially, like I always keep saying, if you have any kind of intersectionality in your experience, if you're a woman of color, or you are the first person in the family to go to university, or your body type doesn't fit the norm of the thin white woman, or you come from, let us say, a family where achievement was very highly rated, where it was, or a family where there was a lot of dysfunctional kind of, behaviors, right? Or you're an introvert. So there's data out there to say that shapes all of our experiences and the way we are open to uncertainty and we seek certainty. So that's why I say that it's a universal experience, but it's a very personal journey. All of these things that we experience, and so that is something, if we acknowledge, if you acknowledge your own experience of intersectionality as you were growing, then potentially there will be newer kind of doors opening for you in terms of how you view this journey. As definitely scary. Like, let's not avoid that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But not debilitating. It's not crashing you. It's not crushing you or crashing you. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the phrase that it's a universal experience, but still your personal journey.
Yeah.
And that, like, I almost, like, when you were listing everything that influences, I was like, check, check, check. Because, like, there's a lot of things that I think we need to almost, like, reveal to ourselves. I know for me, once I started fighting, or rather facing all of my demons, that was a very hard thing to do, because I've spent the majority of my life to date running away from them, and that was my big problem. Like, I was self-aware enough, knowing that if I don't remove them from in front of me, that I won't be able to go forwards. But what I didn't do, because I was, like, scared with the excuse of not having enough time, I didn't resolve them as I was moving them. I was just like, I always use this reference of that those challenges and those experiences for me are like stones in the road that I was.
Can I pause you there, Franca? Like, I do have a problem with the word resolve, to be honest, both as a coach and as somebody who works in mental health.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of emphasis, and this is very much a capitalist and patriarchal thing. So this is like my bugbear as well, where we have to resolve everything in a nice little and tie it up in a nice little bow and keep it aside. Well, actually, the reality is we have to grow around it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so you can't if whether it's a grief, whether it is whatever your childhood experiences or whatever it might be, the more you try to resolve it, right, understand it as something, I feel is more healthier. Understanding how it happened and having empathy for whoever else was involved in it is very helpful. Doesn't mean forgiveness, but it means empathy, right? Going around it, because that experience is central to who you are.
Yes.
And I think somehow, that's why I don't like the self-help industry as the way it is, in terms of, even though I'm a coach, but I don't like this pop psychology of, do this and your life will get transformed in X number of days, or, get rid of your self-doubt. And, So I think that's where I just feel like, how do you grow around it, and how do we make honor your experiences? Like,
Yes.
this is your experience as you know a young woman living in Croatia with these experiences in family, in everything, and now you're on this escalator,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So your journey is going to be very different to mine, who came, who left my country of origin, I don't know, in 2004, in here, but I get a kind of almost like a connection with you because we are both on our journeys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that is the beauty of self work for me, is when we empower people to embrace and not resolve,
Mm.
understand and not resolve.
Yeah, that sounds so powerful, and something that came up for me as a visual is like basically each of us are almost on like it's like in our own bubbles of the escalator, and like we
Yes.
have like there are a lot of bubbles. So like you have your own bubble, then there's mine, and then there's who else is with us. There's Liana's bubble, there's Antonio's bubble, and Sarah's and Jill, and that's why we can feel this connection that you mentioned, because we recognize that we are having this universal experience,
Yes.
but the steps of the escalator are made by our own personalized experience, those
Yeah.
that we embraced and
Yes.
threw around
Yeah.
through by moving. And yeah, that's exactly it. I know that a lot of work in my own therapy sessions in the last year were about I was hesitant to be empathetic to the other parties of my experience, because to my mind, I equated empathy with forgiveness, and I
Yes.
didn't want to give them that
Yes.
satisfaction of being forgiven.
I know exactly what you mean, because that's what it was when I was in therapy, that my therapist first said, Rashmi, you can be empathetic and you don't have to forgive. And for me, it was like a mic drop moment. I was
Yeah,
like, boom, like,
yeah,
wow, is that possible? Like, I didn't
yeah,
even know that was possible. Then
yeah,
it's like, of course it's possible. And so, yeah, so it's not like I have forgotten whatever happened, but I want to move on, right?
yeah,
So I want to grow around that experience. And
yeah,
if that means that the way I interact with those parties or those people changes, then so be it.
yeah,
But that's not a reflection of what it did to me. Like, that I'm just forgetting and I'm moving past it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and now, yeah, so before the visual that how the visual looked for me is like I had these like stones and pebble stones of my experiences that I was ignoring by putting them in my backpack, but like
Yes.
they were still carrying me down. And 18 months ago, I was like, I think it's time for me to open the backpack and look for what's inside. And what I realize now with by speaking to you is that I didn't simply took out the stones, looked at them, and then put them aside. I kind of extracted myself from the experience inside, looked how it is on the outside, and then kind of grew around it. So like I don't feel almost imprisoned in the experience anymore, because before I was making myself the main character, or rather the main villain of the experience. I took a
Yeah.
lot of blame on myself, thinking that the experience was there because I did something wrong, or because there's
Yes.
something wrong with me. Whereas now, because I was able to extract myself from the inside of the stone and look around it and look it in context of the entire environment, that's what helped me to find even more strength and power in myself. And
What do you want to do with the stones now then?
yeah, so a like what I feel like that I've done so far is that I took them and then I painted over them, like I turned them into art. That's how it
Okay. Yeah.
That's how it feels now. I still don't have a place for them though, and I don't know, do I need a place? Like, do I keep a shelf like this one and then put them on the shelf?
What if you kind of give yourself the flexibility that you can keep the stones at different parts in your in the home, or in your home, physical home? Maybe in this season of your life, the stones belong, I don't know, on the mantelpiece in the living room, and maybe at some other season of your life it goes to your kitchen because it's nurturing you. Maybe it goes somewhere else, or it just remains on the mantelpiece, like,
Yeah.
because those experiences kind of change color and flavor in different parts of our lives, right? So when we are younger, it means something else. And I'm definitely, closer to 50, so I'm much older than you in that way. So I think that is what I have learned, is that some of the experiences which felt very charged for me when I was younger, now it feels, I don't know, much more hazy. Like it still is an experience, and it's still, I'm not happy that it happened,
Yeah.
but it doesn't kind of define me as much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. My definition is around it now. Like it's part of me.
Yeah.
I've incorporated it, but it's not anymore the stone that I carry on my back, on my backpack, as if you know what I. Yeah. It's there, and and it's almost like it is there on my mantelpiece, and it continues to stay there for me. I look at it, and that's it. It doesn't do anything else for me. I will not carry it. In fact, I know some of the situations where those stones might actually harm me. So it's almost acknowledging that, okay, what I'm going to do next is going to be very scary. I'm getting on the escalator. So potentially my mom's voice of, why did you leave medicine? You are so ungrateful. Hardly anybody gets into medicine in your pool, in your cohort in school. That might harm me as a business owner.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like just acknowledging that, okay, those thoughts will come.
Yeah.
It's their job to come. So I'm not going to resist it, but it has to pass. It has to come through me and pass. Only then I can move forward in some ways. Right?
Yeah. I think one of the most challenging things in that way was not catching all of those thoughts and holding on to them as they come. Because what I found that I was doing a lot is that I was overthinking and overanalyzing. I was trying to resolve them. I was trying to get down to the root of it. And sometimes, like, I know now, and you put it also so nicely, that like I just didn't connect the word resolve with the experience that I was having, but it's 100% it. It's actually harmful, and I feel like it gets me, like, when I'm trying to overthink and overanalyze a thought that's as harmful as that one in an uncontrollable environment, or rather when I'm not in the room with my therapist, I do myself harm, because I fall into something that I am not equipped to get out of on my own. And then, like, I can spend days or weeks or even months sometimes, depending on how traumatic the experience was, trying to work it out in my own head, and then getting frustrated that I didn't, and that I don't know how. So yeah, having those stones as visible as acknowledgements, I think also helps in like acknowledging yourself and the work that you put in doing, kind of growing around these things, and also as a reminder that it's okay for those thoughts to come, but now we are more resilient and more equipped to let them just pass through us, like not engage in catching the thoughts, but just rather be an observer to the thoughts and be like, this is completely normal. Thank you for coming. You're doing your job. I don't Thank you so much.
Yeah, because that's at the heart of CBT also, right? Cognitive behavior therapy. I mean, that's at the heart, what we call automatic negative thoughts, which come up, and there's a name for that, right? So we have things like mind reading. Like, mind reading is an automatic negative thoughts where everyone thinks I'm an idiot. right? Or we have catastrophizing, right? Which is,
Yeah.
if I make a mistake, I'll be fired. Or fortune telling, right? Where if I say yes to this, then I will be proven as incompetent.
Mm.
And then there is a lot of this also, like, this happens with many perfectionistic kind of, people as well, all or nothing. Like, if I am not X, then I'm a failure,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
There is no, it's very black and white, right? And also, like, if I know what the other person is going to think. This is another one which clients come a lot. Like, if I do this, Rashmi, then the other person is going to think, like, my mom will think this, or my team will think this. But the reality is, yeah, they might, but most probably, like, you are telling the story to yourself. So the only way to counter that is to actually test it,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then it's usually never black and white. It's always gray, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And
Yeah.
then again, that's the work we do, I'm sure in coaching and therapy in different ways, is reframing that whole
Mm.
thing of, to make it so that it's helpful for you rather than harming you. And that takes time.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I say, like, if anybody's promising major changes in 3 months, be a bit wary, because it really doesn't happen.
Mm.
It does take, I mean, at least 6 months to really come to terms with what it is that you're actually, what is at the heart of it,
Yeah.
at the heart of your, your worry about uncertainty, your self-doubt, or your fear of failure, your perfectionism, because there's so many layers to
Mm.
unwrap,
Yeah.
and you only by doing do you actually start uncovering those layers,
Yeah.
unwrapping those layers and seeing what is inside, what's
Yeah.
inside this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all of those things those were one of the first things that I went through with my own therapist, because she was like, Franca, you're doing like 11 out of 12 of these on your daily basis. And then I needed to keep a journal and, like, when kind of be aware of when a thought like that comes, and then, like, break it down and see, is this an actual fact?
Yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
usually it's not.
It's not.
It's
It's not.
not.
And
Yeah,
there's a lot of kind of, and that is the hard work, which which is the sitting with it and actually unwrapping it and thinking about it. It's
yeah,
it is it's almost boring at times.
yeah. It's exhausting. It
Yeah.
feels like a full-time job.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. If only I could get paid for unsatisfied
Yeah,
expectations, I would be a millionaire. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Because, like, when I started therapy exactly this time last year, and just a month before I become self-employed. And 6 months before that, so from March 2020 to September 2020, I was basically a vegetable. I had PTSD from my life basically for becoming upside down, from the mix of pandemic, family violence, earthquakes, all of, like, everything happened in like 3 weeks. And I was like, I'm done. My prefrontal cortex, it was like shut down.
It was short. Yeah. Yeah.
Shut down completely. So for the 6 months, I wasn't doing anything, which was a shock, because prior to that, I was working 16 hours a day
Yeah.
for every
You were
day, weekends, holidays, everything. Then going from 16 hours to zero, I was like, what do people do with all this time? And as I was starting, to basically learn how to be a human being instead of a machine, and how to start taking care of myself, like washing my feet and making my bed and having a routine instead of having every day to be different and chaotic, I started to, kind of unravel all of these things that I was kind of almost guarding myself by. It was like my way. I know that my work addiction was my own coping mechanism because of the reasons that I said earlier. I didn't want to have the time to face my demons, and I knew that if I give my brain the time to think, it's going to start going there, and I didn't want that before. But then, Yeah, go ahead.
But I think it's that the thing to remember here is that one of the main reasons why we resist, kind of facing to what you say demons, or taking the backpack off almost,
Yeah.
like is definitely shame. And I think Brené Brown's work on this is so central, right? So where
Yeah.
shame is the one which keeps us in these patterns of perfectionism and a lot of self-harm, I would say, almost not in
Yeah.
a classic not in terms of cutting yourself or whatever,
Yeah.
but just not really honoring what you need. Now I
Yeah.
do believe that if you don't honor what you need, that's a kind of self-harm,
Yeah.
right? If you keep looking for what the society needs, etc. And I see this even in people in executive level positions who come for coaching early, early startups as well, like because I was in the startup world for how many, like 8-9 years now. So many entrepreneurs also are in this mindset where I have to burn the midnight oil to survive, right? To make this company succeed, etc.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying they don't, but it is kind of the to almost say that they have some needs or they need to rest is like very shameful. And I think that is something which needs to be acknowledged upfront, is like the shame is really something which is ingrained at a very young age in our lives. Like you have to work hard, you have to pass your exams, you have to do
Yeah.
well, and if you
Yeah.
don't, then you're a failure,
Yeah.
and that's shameful for the entire family. If you come
Yeah.
from cultures where it is my culture, where it's very collective. So if I didn't do well, it was a reflection on my parents, for example, right?
Yeah.
That they
Yeah.
were not good parents. And that's a lot of emotion to carry as a young teenager, or even when you're in medical school, for me. And so you kind of just start thinking that it's always the highest level of achievement.
Yeah.
You don't even think about whether you're happy doing it or not, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's a shame of that you have how heavy is my backpack is a good
Yeah.
metaphor. And I don't want people to know how heavy my backpack is, because I'm going to feel judged by it. Like I'm assuming they're going to feel judged by it.
Yeah.
But actually, as you will be learning in therapy, and I did in my own therapy as well, is that actually you're judging yourself first, right? And
Yeah.
so when you stop judging yourself, you do reduce caring about other people's judgment as much. And for me, the amount of almost self-criticism I had, it shocked me. Like when the mirror was shown to me, that
Yeah.
this is how you're treating yourself, right?
Oh.
And I think that is the mirror I try to show my clients as well, is like what you're thinking others are doing, you're actually judging yourself. Like how can do you really want to be this harsh to yourself? And
Yeah.
that's when there is, within about 2 or 3 sessions, there's an aha moment for them, saying that, oh my god, like this won't work, like my company won't succeed, or even though I'm in my senior executive position, like I'm not going to be happy.
Mm.
You can be happy, you can be much more in sync with what you like and what you value, and still be an executive and still be a CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be in this thing of of this burden of carrying this backpack and worrying about it.
Yeah. Two things come up for me, and the first one is because of these expectations that are conditioned almost upon us, like from the society or from our families. I can say from my own experience that the reason, like my problem is that I don't feel accomplishment in the things that I've accomplished. Like I don't feel joy or pride or satisfaction of them, and because of them. And I think primarily because they were expected of me. Like my
Yes, yes, yes.
family held the highest standard for me, and because I've always achieved it, the benchmark just went up and up and up and up. And now, like everything that I accomplish down here doesn't matter for me because I've done it. And then my next kind of thought in error almost is thinking that because I've done it, everyone else can do it, and everyone else is already doing it. So it doesn't make my experience and my accomplishments special. I'm not
Yeah.
smart, I'm not intelligent, it's just a normal thing to do. And a nice kind of helpful, rather, visual that my therapist helped me with, she said, like, if we have the normal distribution, right? I was comparing myself to the 95 to 100%. And I was like, I was distributing those 5% and thinking that I'm at the end of that, or at the beginning, the
Yes.
low end of the distribution, because I was so, like almost like full of hatred towards myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't see what I accomplished. I only saw what I didn't accomplish yet.
Yeah. It's the whole thing of your worthiness is attached to your achievements, basically. And so it's never enough. Like, because you think that, okay, now I've done this, now I have to do the next bit. And I think that changing goalposts is such a common error in our thinking. We can't celebrate. And so that's the other thing, as if you've done coaching, you'll see that coaches will force you to celebrate those wins, because that's the only way you actually incorporate it into your experience. And so the whole thing is, so for example, today my question to you is, what are you celebrating by having your first real and raw clubhouse?
Yeah. Good question. And because I'm usually a good student, I know, like, so the issue is, I can tell you what I am celebrating now, but it's going to come out of my brain, my mind almost. I don't embody what I'm saying to you, that I'm celebrating not only the last 3 months worth of effort towards relaunching this, but my entire journey of the last 18 months of working towards this point of me being able to start writing online and sharing my experiences, because what I learned is, like, they are all normal experiences, because they are ours, and we are human beings, and just like with that logic, they are all normal. We attach shame to them because we don't talk about them, and when something's not talked about, then it brings like a lot of bad feelings, and it's like we start associating feelings of faultiness and shame with our own experiences, and that's why this exists, basically. That's why we have the Real and Raw on Clubhouse, and why there are articles published on the website about to normalize experiences like these and show to others that we are not isolated in our own experiences. Like, a lot of people in the world go through them. Sometimes even exactly the same ones, because that's just statistical probability.
Yes.
But kind of my next step in my own work and personal growth is finding, or rather kind of reigniting the connection between my mind and my body. I often say that I feel like I'm a Frankenstein, because I know that my head lies on my body. They are connected by my neck, but I don't have the connection. But on a rational level, I know that I should be proud of all of these things and celebrate them. But I still don't kind of feel it on the inside, and that's something that's on my plan to work towards.
I think this is the concept of what we call as embodied cognition in neuroscience, and this is like quite a big part of leadership as well. Where you kind of actually work with very quite leaders at all levels, not just executive level positions, I would say, or even regular people like you and me. Thinking about actually connecting that's why I asked, like, how do you feel? And you were talking about that anxiety and excitement, about that feeling coming from your stomach and exploding. So if you're working with a coach who understands that, that's like magical work where you actually really connect with your somatic embodied experiences and link it to what thoughts are coming up. And that is quite a mic drop moment for many people. And they almost stop themselves. Like, for me, when I start getting irritable, I know that whatever conversation or whatever decision I'm about to take is not really is not aligning with my values or with what I want, even though it seems like a fantastic opportunity. Right? And so then I really have to pause. And it is very irritating, because I wish I could just say, oh, there's a fantastic opportunity, I'm going to get paid this much, let me just say yes, right? But then I'm irritable. Like, I'm not happy with myself. I'm just snapping at my daughter. And then I'm like, no, this is my body telling me something. And I can feel there's a kind of a tension in my head. the muscles at my upper back are a bit stiff,
Yeah.
and I'm holding it there, and so, but this has come really after years of ignoring it. So it's amazing that, I wish I had done this at least 10, 12 years earlier in my life, like not in my 40s. So because that is mind changing when we start actually listening to our bodies and saying,
Yeah.
something is wrong here. And then it's not that you have to run away from a situation,
Yeah.
but then you take that knowledge and either negotiate in that situation in a way that serves you as well, or change the point of view in the conversation. Like, there are different ways of almost, of using that knowledge, I would say. Right?
Yeah. And I will say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to anyone else who feels like me, like there's no connection, like it's a one-way communication, like you're trying to sign in, but you can't, you're not allowed, like there's nothing coming back. I could say that for me, I have a blockage, and that's me still not like my next phase in EMDR therapy, basically, where I will work through my traumatic experiences of being constantly told off, and my kind of experiences almost exclusively with male authoritative figures who have constantly like put, like shame and feelings of unworthiness and you won't achieve anything in your life down on me.
Yeah.
So because I still embody those, I don't think I will be able, like, that's why it's hard for me to tap into, I feel achievement in my entire body, not only like I know I have achieved this in my mind. So for anyone else who feels the same way, it's possible. It takes work, but like the important thing to know is to be self-aware about what your blocker is.
Yeah.
Like who is silencing your own voice, or rather whose voices you are hearing instead of your own.
Yeah.
And there are therapies or other methods such as EMDR, which has helped me immensely to to be where I am now, mentally and physically and holistically and wholesomely as a human being.
That's amazing.
So, I still have at least this much more work to do, but like me from a year ago to Franca now, I just feel like a completely different person. Even though I hate saying that, because I don't feel like a different person. I feel like I have extracted, or rather removed, 80% of me that wasn't me.
Yes.
And I found myself. Like I've removed the layers and unset the expectations and unraveled the labels around me that were kind of like a lot of labels people stick into you, like without even asking.
Yeah.
And then what I was doing basically in the last year, I was unsticking them and burning them.
Yeah.
This is not me. This is not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had two questions, isn't it, Franca? Shall we get to it?
Exactly. And let me see just for a second. So Sarah asked a question, and Sarah is here.
Hi, Sarah. Yeah.
Hi, Sarah. Do you want to come on stage and ask the question live? I will invite you, but you don't have to ask it live. You don't want to. We can just read it. But I will invite you and put you on the spot anyways.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. I was not expecting to be on stage, but I will take this opportunity to say that this is still incredible. What a start. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And my question was, it was coming from a bit of a difficult moment. And when I saw the question box, it felt like, okay, these two incredible people can help me. The question was, what do you do? I don't remember the exact wording, but what do you do when you've stopped asking for help because you already know the answers, but you're still not taking action? So it's almost like this has happened to me a few times where I'm stuck. I know that I could ask for help, but I almost already know what people are going to tell me, and so I don't ask, and so I just stay in this loop internal loop of, I guess, my own expectations. I don't know. Yeah, that's the story.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. So, I mean, what comes up for me is almost, you are stuck, you know what people are going to say. So the emotion behind that is I'm so curious about, like, what do you think will happen if you anyway ask? Like, they might tell you the same thing, but I'm wondering, like, what is the resistance to asking again anyway?
I think it's maybe some shame around the fact that I already know the answer and I don't do anything about it. I haven't done anything about it. So it's almost like I think it's shame. It's like, I have the answer. Why am I not capable of doing it? I think that's the
So it's a bit of the shame, right? So I mean, shame and also a bit of judgment, like where people are going to judge you. I'm guessing you might have a bit of that. Oh, why is she asking me this? Like, she's already told me that. But it's almost like I'm wondering, like, how might you be able to show yourself a bit of space to even ask that question? Because sometimes it's not just about hearing the same answer, right? Like, we ask questions, or we share our thoughts, and we want support. And I wonder whether your way of approaching it might change if you actually reframe it from answers to maybe support, maybe an acknowledgement of that it is hard, or there's something there for me. I wish I had taken your question sooner, because I would love to coach you on that a bit. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Rashmi. Yes, I think this idea of looking at it less like answers and more like support.
Yeah. Because this allows you to then make, and I'm putting bunny ears on this, it allows you to make mistakes then. Like, it's not like there's one perfect answer or one perfect way of supporting you. You just say, hey, I kind of know I need to do this, but I need to talk to you about it anyway, and then people are like, okay, go. And then I have found that the conversations become deeper. So you kind of almost tell people, I know what I need to do practically, but something is stopping me, and I just need to have a chat about actually getting some clarity on this. What do you think? And not all friends or all peers or supporters can step up to that, but whoever is in that inner circle of yours, hopefully will be able to have the chat with you, right?
Yeah. I think, yes, that's a great framing instead of, because I think that would also give me some confidence if I say, I know what I have to do, or I think I know. I might be surprised. I just need to think it through, or get some validation even. And I'm also trying to make peace with the fact that I do need a lot of validation, at least right now. And when you said that, oh, maybe you just get support, my first thought was, there you are trying to look for external validation, like the judgment.
But there's nothing wrong with validation. I mean, in the sense that if that is going to help you to take the next step, then why not, is what I say. Like, if one trusted friend or supporter is able to say, you know what, Sarah, you got this, just take that next step, and I know you're scared, just do it. Sometimes I just need to hear that. Like, that's why I think for us, many of us here, the upfront community works well, is because we're able to nudge each other a bit and say, hey, you got this, just go, kind of thing. And I think that is what maybe is what you're looking for. There's no shame in that, really.
Yeah, I did do that yesterday on the upfront community, and you replied, Rashmi.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm already taking action. Thank you both. I know there's another question, so I don't want to take up more time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So another question was from Nell, and she asked, how do you stop worrying about something that has already happened, that you can't change, but you still wish you could?
That's interesting, right? And this, I wonder whether you had some thoughts on this also, Franca, because a lot of the things we were talking about in the last 50 minutes is around looking back on our past, right? And thinking, I wish I could change that. And so what comes up for you? And then I will, of course, give you my response as well.
Yeah, so of course, like, now I know that what I will say to Neil is that that to kind of That's how I felt when I was inside the experience, inside the stone. And that's when I was judging the experience and judging myself and judging my actions
Yeah.
during that experience. And how do you stop judging it and wishing you changed it is by extracting yourself from the experience and
Yeah.
looking around it and knowing that we can't have everything under control. We can't, like really put up people to alter their own decisions. We can't control them. So I think not judging them and not wanting the experiences to be different lies a lot in you being okay with them.
Yes. Yeah. And I think there's something about the worry bit as well. Like, Nell has said, like, what was it? That's what she said, isn't it? I was trying to read the question because she sent it on Insta about how do you stop worrying about something that happened,
Yes.
right? And I
Yes.
think that is a key thing. Like, what is the worry about? Is it that you have been misinterpreted, or is it that people misunderstood you, or like what is the worry about?
Yeah, maybe
Right?
it's an assumption that it's not
Yes.
made into, that it's not kind of filtered through, is this an actual fact? Or
One is the actual fact, or
yeah,
or if you flip it also as well, you worry about it because almost the underlying thing is that you actually did not, you did not behave in the way that you actually wanted to. Like sometimes we kind of think, okay, oh, this person expects me to behave in a particular way, or my team expects me to believe in a particular way, right?
yeah,
So and then
or even, sometimes it's I acted in contrast or contrary to what I wanted to say or what I wanted. Like I said yes instead of saying no.
no, yeah.
And then I
And
feel
so
guilty and I worry about, okay, like now I said yes, I need to commit. I can't back out now. And then like,
yes. Yeah. And again, there for me, your intersectionality comes in, right? In the sense that at that point in time, maybe, you were worried because you were not in a position of power, or what, I don't know what Nell's story was, but it could be
yeah,
anything, right? It could
yeah,
be that she was a young mom, or, maybe, she made a decision because it was financially motivated because she had to. So we don't know, like, what are the factors that go into there. But I would just say that it was a certain point in time. Acknowledge, give yourself some compassion for it was a hard time. First of all, it must have been a hard time anyway for you to be worrying about the decision then and even now, So there's something about kind of almost acknowledging that, I think, is also
yeah,
so important. And then saying, what are you actually worried about? And how can you make sure that you, in a similar situation, because these situations have a strange way of coming up again and again, right? The situations we avoid, the situations
yeah,
we are scared about. It's like life keeps putting that situation in front of us again and again and again. And
yeah.
sometimes you're like, yes, I got the damn message, go away. But it still comes up again and again till you actually sit there and say, actually, this is what I want. This is what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And it's usually something which is totally, and inner looking. The light is turned inwards, so to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope Nell is happy
Listen
with
to it.
that,
Yeah.
with that answer. And because we are already a couple of minutes beyond our time, I still want to ask if there is anyone else that maybe wants to ask a quick question or say hi or anything. Say it now or
Yeah.
wait until next time.
Yeah.
Wait until next
Hold
Thursday.
your peace.
Or hold your peace, yes. If not, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Rashmi, for this
Yeah. Thank
exquisite
you.
1 hour of conversations and
Yeah.
discussions. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yep.
And don't forget, this session has been recorded and it's going to be published on Unseen Expectations podcast. You can find us on Spotify and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music and all the places probably where you listen to your podcasts. I'm hoping that the plan is, because each of these sessions are on Thursday, that every following Tuesday, the audio is uploaded as a podcast episode, so then you can re-listen. And that's about it from me and Rashmi. Thank you once again, everyone, and I hope to see you next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.